Are you struggling to quit your sugar addiction? Can't seem to get rid of stubborn bloating, skin rashes, and joint pain? Wish you knew how to reduce your sugar intake without feeling overwhelmed? If this is you, keep listening. Have you tried everything to eliminate autoimmune symptoms like joint pain and digestion issues without relief? Are you struggling to keep up with the demands of life due to chronic fatigue? Does chronic pain keep you from doing the things you love in life? If you are feeling defeated and hopeless, you are not alone. I am Ashley Cavolo, a busy working mom who once struggled with debilitating autoimmune symptoms. I too felt like giving up after trying every possible solution without relief from symptoms like joint pain and stiffness, painful digestion issues, relentless chronic fatigue, and embarrassing brain fog, until it was time to stop allowing the pain to control my life. I dove into the root cause of autoimmune diseases and was shocked to find the answer is not found in endless doctor visits, harsh medications, expensive supplements, or strict food lists. The secret to healing autoimmune symptoms is found within the specific habits that reduce inflammation and heal symptoms quickly and naturally. I applied what I learned and found relief from my symptoms in a matter of weeks. 7 years later, I am living a pain-free life free of autoimmune symptoms. I turned this discovery into a self-paced program called the Autoimmune Reboot, where I share my secrets and my step-by-step process to help you heal your symptoms quickly so you can live a pain-free life. This podcast is for you if you are ready to eliminate joint pain so you can jump out of bed every morning pain-free. Heal and maintain a healthy gut so you can enjoy your favorite foods again without that uncomfortable bloat. Go from no energy and endless coffee breaks to an abundance of natural energy and stamina to tackle the day. Eliminate uncomfortable autoimmune symptoms such as bloating, brain fog, constipation, diarrhea, digestion pain, inflammation, joint stiffness, skin rashes, and many more. Living a pain-free life is easier and closer than you think. I can't wait to show you what I discovered. Refresh your coffee and let's dive in. We're going to talk about sugar and the effects on the body. Sugar was one of the first food ingredients I researched when I began my journey to heal from autoimmune symptoms, and what I learned stuck with me. It opened my eyes to the damage that sugar can cause. Sugar is one of the most highly consumed foods in the United States, and according to the American Heart Association, adults should consume no more than 6 teaspoons of sugar per day. The average American consumes 17 teaspoons of sugar per day, which is nearly 3 times the amount of sugar that the American Heart Association recommends. These are just average numbers, which means people out there are eating even more than 17 teaspoons of sugar per day. We all know sugar isn't good for us, but so many of us don't even realize how much we are eating. A great example is a glass of orange juice, which contains about 9 teaspoons of sugar. So if you wake up, you have a glass of orange juice with your breakfast, you have already exceeded the recommended amount of sugar for your entire day. Then we eat sugary cereals, donuts, lattes with sugar-laden syrups inside, and we haven't even made it to lunch. So you can see how easy it is for someone to overload with sugar without even realizing it. And that's just a normal day for so many Americans. So a simple explanation of how sugar is digested in the body. When we eat sugar, it is broken down into glucose. As glucose enters the bloodstream, insulin steps in to regulate glucose levels, and glucose is then used for energy in the brain, muscles, red blood cells, just to name a few. But when excess sugar is present in the body and glucose levels rise above normal levels, it quickly becomes too much for the insulin to regulate. So this causes a buildup of glucose in the body. This buildup of glucose increases the risk for diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, obesity, liver disease, dementia, cancers, and inflammation. It also suppresses the immune system and feeds bad gut bacteria. So considering all of this, it is a no-brainer that we really need to pay attention to our sugar intake. And this is so easy to do, you guys. So when you are shopping, just be aware of the packaged foods you are buying and check the labels. You should be aiming for products that have less than 9 grams of sugar, but less than 6 is even better. And there are also so many sugar substitutes available now. And a few of my favorite options are coconut sugar, dates, honey, maple syrup, and monk fruit. They are all great natural options that will help keep your sugar in check. And you can use these in baking. I use some of these in homemade lattes that I make, low sugar lattes, put honey in your tea, things like that. So they're really great low sugar options. But with the good, there are always some bad options. There are alternatives out there that are labeled as healthy, but they are not always the best choice. Agave is a great example of this. It has a high fructose content, which can actually increase blood sugar levels as much as sugar. But this is labeled as a healthy alternative because it is from a natural source. So just keep that in mind. There's also stevia, which is really well known, but is controversial. Although it is produced from the leaves of a stevia shrub, which is a natural source, it has been linked to endocrine and kidney issues, among other problems. So how to reduce your sugar intake? This can be easy. All you have to simply do is make a few swaps and be aware of what you're putting into your body. Here are 6 ways that you can reduce your sugar intake today. Aim for products that have less than 9 grams of sugar. 6 grams or less is even better. Limit processed foods. Read food labels. Choose healthy sugar alternatives. Choose clean products, which are typically produced without added sugar. And choose whole foods. So the takeaway from this episode is that sugar can be the culprit for so many health issues, and reducing your sugar intake is as simple as reading labels and choosing sugar alternatives. It is such a simple way to avoid a lifetime of illness, medication, and doctor visits. So just make it easy for yourself and just make those swaps and better choices. So go find a food item in your pantry, check the sugar content, and if it has 10 or more grams of sugar, see if you can find an alternative with less sugar. When you are choosing items in the grocery store, just check the labels. If there are less than 9 grams of sugar, it is a better option. And if you need some suggestions, check out the shop tab on my website for a few of my favorite low sugar pantry staples. So that is it. I hope this episode was informative. If you have any questions, go ahead and just shoot me a DM or an email, and I'll be happy to get back to you. Thank you for listening. I hope this podcast has helped you in your autoimmune journey. If you find value and inspiration in this episode, please leave a 5-star rating and review and share the episode with a friend. When you do, you are helping this podcast reach people around the world who are ready to live a pain-free life. The information and opinions shared in this podcast are for educational and informational purposes only. The content within this podcast is not a substitute for professional care. Always seek the advice of a physician or medical professional to answer health-related questions. Implementing the advice shared on this podcast should be done at your own risk. Actions taken by listeners as a result of the content shared on this podcast is not the responsibility of the host or creator. This podcast does not endorse and is not affiliated with treatments or products mentioned in this podcast unless otherwise specified. Products or treatments treatments shared in this podcast are for informational purposes only. Always seek the advice of a medical professional for answers to product or treatment questions. All content, including but not limited to text, graphics, logos, and material shared under the Autoimmune Reboot podcast, is protected by copyright and all applicable laws. Any kind of unauthorized distribution or use of this content is strictly prohibited and will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Listening to this podcast is acknowledging your agreement with these terms.